Welcome to another episode of Cocktails with Cousins. I'm Erica.
I'm Raina.
And we are here to talk about Love and Marriage Huntsville. We're at the reunion, and it's a 3-part reunion, and it is juicy, and I can't wait to talk about it. Before we get started, go ahead and hit the like button because we know you're going to like the episode. Make sure that you share the episode as well as subscribe to our channel so you never miss a beat. With that being said, let's jump right on in. I don't know about you, but when I wrote the notes for this reunion, I was all over the place. I was like, oh, let me get that down. Let me get this down. Because I mean, really good points. Just in this first part of the 3-part episode. So they kind of started off like with reflections of how the show got started, and how it's affecting them. What did you think of that part of the conversation?
So I'll start off with what Tisha said.
Okay. I
would be so done with Twitter. I would be so done with social media because those comments, they be coming for them. And I don't blame her. Like I wouldn't do Twitter either. Mm-mm.
No, I know Twitter. Let me say something. Twitter is cutthroat sometimes. You'd be like, oh, that's good, but that's bad for the person that's getting it on the other end. I can only imagine. What do you think that they were saying about her that got her to the point where she was like, nope. Like I can't imagine what they would say. I mean, that would be that bad about her. Can you think of anything? Like, I don't know.
I mean, well, it's about your marriage. So, those 20 women's, all of that, you know how people are gonna run with what they hear and go like, as the woman that you feel is like being cheated on, possibly, I don't want to hear none of that. I don't want to see it. I don't want to. I'm good.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure some of the 20 women's is as the mama says because she has it on there incorrectly. Right. The 20 women's probably on there trying to say, yeah, it was me. Da, 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 da. I can only imagine.
Exactly.
I don't know though. I'm always torn about that rumor. I guess we'll call it alleged cheating because. I don't know whether or not to believe the rumors or what. I don't know if he's just kind of playful or, I don't know. I think I have attributed it to being personality and just kind of how he is. And that's why people like to say things about him. But I mean, I don't know that the 20 women's keep coming up.
Honestly,
most hilarious.
I actually feel like for the first time after this part 1 of the reunion, I'm like, okay, you know what? Marcel may be a better man than I thought. Based on conversation that, Martel and Mel have about how he's trying to be the mediator of all that stuff. So
their whole situation. Yeah, that's why I say I've always been confused. Like he seems like he has good values, but stuck maybe in a time warp. Because you remember, like in the earlier seasons, he was kind of like old school, where he wanted her at home with the kids, and then you saw like his her evolution of her kind of finding herself and putting herself out there. And I mean, at first he didn't want to be in, but he did. So that I always just thought that maybe it was just, here's whatever. I don't know.
Maybe it was the comments in the comment section.
Yeah,
that kind of,
Yeah,
maybe he read some of those comments and was like, you know what, I need to change because people are coming for me.
Yeah. Well, he said he was the second hated person on the show. So he still knows his place.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's true.
Oh my God. So the host this time, Carlos King, I think is his name. I did not realize that he was creator of the show. I had to look up his credentials because he said that he had been in the game, 10 or 15 years?
I think he said 15 years, yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't realize it, but what did you think? Do you think he got into him as the host? Like some of them were happy to have him as the host and others were not happy.
He was the perfect person to be the host for this reunion. I'd say that. I know Martel was scared. You saw his face, right?
Oh, I did. I saw his face. He was like, oh, you are going to be the host. Oh, okay. Like he was very hesitant about him being the host.
No, he did a great job. He knew to ask all the right questions. And
he sure did. And called people on some BS throughout the episode too.
That he did.
Yeah. It was for me, it was funny to hear them talk about how they started the show, and how it was supposed to be about construction. Like it wouldn't have read right at all.
Yeah. Apparently Marcel had an issue with the title of the show
Yeah.
because he was like, I thought it was about construction.
Yeah.
I'm good at construction.
Yeah.
But I don't know about the love and marriage part.
He right. He ain't telling no where's the lie. Because he is working on his skills with marriage. Yeah. I wonder what the show was called though. Construction in Huntsville. Like, I mean, what was it called?
I don't know. I guess something to do with like real estate maybe, or some, something along those lines. Yeah, home improvement maybe. I don't know. But yeah, he the host, he was asking if anybody had any regrets, and he was asking Mel, and she said she didn't regret anything because there's a lot of positive that came out of it, and so she likes to look at it in a positive way and say she likes, she took a lot of positive things, which she did come up from this show. She really had. I mean, she has a music career now. She got a lot. She's accomplished a lot. So I'm actually proud of her. I'm rooting for her. So
yeah, no. And then I don't know if you saw Maurice. He was agreeing to this, and he likes to look at. I guess he likes to look at it in the positive as well. I would agree. I mean, I think that anytime anybody is doing any type of reality show, even for people that had previously been famous, like if you look at the Housewives series, whenever someone is trying to get any ventures up, like they join the show. I'll give a good example of that. I don't know if you watch Real Housewives of Atlanta, but when Candy started on the show, and then she kind of branched out from there, like her store and her restaurants, and then her and Escape going back on tour, like she's been able to kind of rebrand herself.
Oh yeah.
From doing reality TV shows. So I think it's always a good look. Unless you're Martell, because he said he was doing the show. Can you imagine?
Oh my goodness. I mean, you know what? He made his bed, he needed to lay in it.
Exactly. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, oh, you regret the show because it did not allow you to continue on with your activity and behavior and get away with it.
Exactly.
Yeah, but what was I gonna say? He said that he helped Mel become the person that she is today. Do you believe that?
Man, listen, he always wants credit for something. I just feel like that's just Martell. Like he just wants the credit for everything. I don't know why he's like that. He get on my nerves. I see why he's the most hated one on the show.
Yeah, and then he said he gave up a lot for them to be on the show, and that he ultimately just did it for her. But I'm like, I know why. I mean, I have my opinion on why he didn't want to do the show, because being in the public eye does not afford you the ability to have a secret life, and
because you're in the spotlight.
Yeah, exactly.
But I want to know what he gave up to be on the show, because if you watch the first season, I paid attention to like the houses they lived in and all that stuff. While they were still married, going into the second season, it's like they came up, they moved on up. Look at the houses that they live in. And so, I mean, if he would have just kept his penis in his pants, they would have both been making it, But hey, he couldn't help it.
It's interesting though that he says he gave up something for her to be able to do this show, because we talked about this earlier, how Mel had the builder's license, and she had like all of the things that kind of helped the business run. When they when they divorced and they dissolved the Hope business, she jumped right on there, rented the space for her business or whatever, and he just seemed to not have his ducks in a row. But I think that he didn't have his ducks in a row because he was too busy putting his fingers everywhere.
There you go. There you go. And you know what?
Business too.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about Martell to me. He's so quick to point fingers instead of like taking accountability for his actions or what he did or did not do. And so but he wants credit for everything that he did or is doing, in his opinion. So I don't know. That's just him. I don't know if you heard him in the season finale where he's like, yeah, I need to get my 50% of such and such. And I'm like,
I heard that foolery nonsense. Well, he likes to allude to things, because when they were doing the flashback of them, we'll get to in a second because I don't want us to miss anything. He in that flashback he was talking about having custody of the kids too, which is something that he brought up this season, which I think is another game that he's playing.
Yeah. For sure.
Well, the most interesting part for me in this part of the show was when he talked about losing his family. I felt for him, like he definitely sees that he goofed. Like, I mean, I don't know what else to call it, but if nothing else, even if he doesn't miss being with Mel, I think he does miss being with his kids full time, which is fortunate.
Ooh, listen, you made your bed. You gotta land it. Like, come on, you had to think of all of that. You weren't thinking about your kids when you were out the house.
He wasn't.
We're doing right. So yeah. I get it, but I don't feel sorry for him whatsoever.
I feel sorry for the kids because even on this, the episode they were on this time, his son was like, well, I need y'all to get back together so I can stop crying. The older girl had the same sentiment. She had like a breakdown in the show as well. So I do feel bad for the kids. That is the product of when you can't figure your stuff out. Like as a husband, you can't figure your stuff out. Like that's a natural consequence. I tell that to my 8-year-old all the time. Natural consequences are the best ones because then you realize what is the result of your direct actions. And he's just getting a natural consequence in this case.
Well said, exactly. And you know what? I really did feel for the kids because my parents split. They got divorced when I was, at a young age. So it's like I could relate. I remember that same feeling when the little boy was talking about, I just need y'all to get back together. And we can be all one happy family again. I remember having the same exact feelings. And I'm like, man, but then you look at it's all over Mel's face. It's like, but you don't want mommy to be happy though. And I understood, like now I can understand, as like what my parents were going through. And it's so tough because certain things, I mean, even back then, like my parents used to tell me, well, you won't get it because you're a kid. You won't get it until you're old enough. And they were right. I was like, what you mean? I understand perfectly fine, but no.
Well, and unfortunately for these kids, they're going to have episodes that they can go back and see. And they can see how much of a nut their dad was. And how much respect he didn't have for their mom, which I think is kind of a bad look for just like, I mean, I don't feel bad for the person who's making the bed, but just the kids who are standing on the outside. What about this conversation about Kimmy? Because here we go again with Kimmy being the side chick. Like, who got time for that?
So I can understand where what Maurice was saying when he was saying how the situation is laughable whenever that question comes up about Kimmy being a side chick, because he's saying it's like calling me an alien, it's impossible. So I understood what he was saying, but I feel like the effort your wife should still feel supported and you sticking up for her. So I don't care how many times you got to say it. I would keep saying, nope, that's not true. Stop putting my wife in that light, and speak up for her. Because I feel like he never did. So I always felt him, But
he actually just needs to go real, like slam off one good time and be like, what we're not going to do is, like he needs to do something to that effect. And I think he did that like one time that would shut down the complete room.
Oh yeah. Because even in Vegas, when that whole topic came about, he didn't shut it down. He just lets Kimmy fight her own battles. And I mean, sometimes that's great, but it would be nice for your husband to like stick up for you when it's when it involves the both of you, not just herself.
Just you, yeah. If it was two ladies going back and forth about lady things, definitely. Right. But you're talking about the start of our relationship.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess my thing was, I don't understand why they would believe the rumor or the conversation from Kiowa, because think about it. If he says that she did something to end the marriage, and we don't know what it is because he didn't elaborate on it. However, if you are the person that was in a position where you wanted to try to get your relationship back, I guess I'm not sure why everybody's not being of sound mind and like, okay, well, let's weigh this completely out. Let's it make sense or whatever. Because if you are the person, I mean, Martell and Melody are a perfect example of that. Martell did something to end the marriage. Mel was like, I'm done, right? And ended the marriage. And it sounds like this is what Maurice did too. So I guess I don't understand why people can't kind of see it from a different perspective. I guess because they don't want to. I don't know. I'm just messing with Kimmy because Kimmy is my favorite. Like, I love her.
Hey, she is my favorite on the show too. She has the most sense. She's just a good person overall, in my opinion.
Yeah. And then she's, even in that situation, she's so level-headed. Like, she always is like, no, and gives her point without even getting angry, like, to be her.
Or disrespectful. Exactly.
Or disrespectful.
Yes. The only time I ever seen Kimmy pop off was with Miss Wanda.
And she should have popped off on her.
You should have.
And then the thing about, she didn't even pop like she could have. But she was like, look, I'm lady, you're not gonna keep doing this to me. And I'm with her, because that Miss Wanda is a whole nother situation. I wonder if she's on a reunion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, probably so. Okay, so they talked about Kimmy, they talked about her being a side chick. We're done with that. Nobody wants to hear about that anymore. I need that not to come up in season 4. But let's go back to Martell and Melody, because that's what the show did. Did a whole video reminder of where we were with them. What stuck out to you in that part? Because I know it stuck out to me, but I'm gonna let you first.
Lord, it's too many. You go ahead. You go first.
I mean, the first thing that came up was, I'm not a cheater.
Oh my gosh. Mel was triggered by that too. She said, all that was BS. All that was BS. And he was like, wait, what part? She was like, he just said he's not a cheater.
Yes.
How?
Houseway. Yeah, Houseway.
Time again. Yes.
I'm triggered by that comment.
Right. Like, what, Martell, what is the definition of a cheater? Please.
Exactly. And I feel like this is where the host got right on into him, because he called him out on his contradictions and made him kind of, spill it all out. And then he started talking about Melody, started kind of explaining what was going on and what was the kind of like her build up. And I could not believe that this woman, although I think their timeline is off a little bit, because she was saying that it was December-ish and pulled the kids and they were at home for COVID. That would have meant that was in 2020, which was already past the time when we started COVID. So I think they're off with their timeline, or maybe they had pulled the kids out of school prior to COVID for whatever reason. I don't know, but I think her timeline is off. Anyway, that's not the point. The point was that she said he was leaving during COVID.
During the pandemic.
Days of COVID.
Yep.
I mean, it was like, do I go to the grocery store? I mean, we need milk, but I don't know that we need milk enough to go to the grocery store. Like, he was leaving every day. And do you know what he told the host that he was going to?
The gym?
To the gym.
The gym. Sir, all the gyms are closed. He said, not my gym.
Not his gym. I bet his gym won't close, because it was somebody's bedroom and he was doing better sizes. I don't know.
Yeah, her legs was wide open. You're right.
Yeah, exactly. Your gym was not close. I could not believe that they had a new baby and he was so invested in this other woman that he was leaving the house with this unknown disease out there to go see this lady and then come back to his kids and then
Right.
probably trying to get in the bed with Mel. What?
Risking their health, their newborn, their wife, his wife, kids. I mean, come on. Come on. Like, how selfish do you have to be?
I don't know. I guess Martell's selfish.
Mm-hmm.
Because I put down that was disrespectful. Like, to the utmost. Yes. To the utmost. And you talk about how much you love your kids, but it was very important for you to go out and see this other woman.
Right.
While we were in a crisis. Like the man said, over 600,000 people have died. And it was enough for you to go see this woman.
Right. And I mean, it doesn't make a difference, but your wife just pushed out a whole baby for you.
Yeah.
She literally just gave birth and your mind is elsewhere. Right.
Exactly. I'm like, sir, you have got to be, I don't know, you have a different level of disrespect that I can't deal with. What did you think about him telling her that she needed to talk to some older ladies?
Oh, please. Oh man. Oh, well, let me go back.
Okay, go back.
The host said that to him.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, you made it sound so much worse. I was like, no, it sounds exactly what it sounds like. It sounds exactly what it's supposed. That's what you did.
Yeah, it was like,
what sounds bad to you.
Exactly.
Right. See, this is why he doesn't see what he's doing. Like he can't possibly see what he's doing.
I think he sees it. He just thinks that everybody is too stupid to figure out that what he's saying doesn't make sense.
That's probably you right. You are absolutely right, because I couldn't believe, like, did he really just say that?
He did.
Oh goodness.
Straight face.
Oh goodness.
Yeah. No, that part I was like, oh, you worried about how the optics look now?
And you know what? That's his problem. He wants, because that's what he kept reiterating throughout the show since the first season, talking about, well, this is between us. You don't need to be airing our dirty laundry out there. And she's like, nah, you should have been keeping your penis in the house, is what you should have been doing.
Exactly. Well, and I think that's why he regrets doing the show, because I mean, her timeline said he cheated as early as 2017. Was that the start of the show?
Yeah. So he was saying that was like right before the show started.
Okay, got you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, he wanted to keep that stuff under wraps, and I mean,
well, he said he believed that, if it wasn't for the show, that he would still have his family, and he thinks that because the only reason why Mel they got divorced is because the whole world saw it,
Oh, yeah, because he kept telling her at the beginning. That was one part that he said at the beginning when they were talking about like the show and everything that affected them about the show. He was like, telling her not to be in the comments, and she kept being in the comments. No, you didn't want her you didn't want her to read, and
all the dirt on you.
All the dirt on you, and people telling her like, girl, you better than that. You worth more than that. Like, because I feel like he wants her to believe she needs him to be successful. And I think he was afraid that people were telling her like, no, girl, you good. Like,
uplifting her. Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly.
And back to what he was saying about the older women, the audacity. And he also said something along the lines of that she needed to go ahead and accept his cheating. Mm-hmm. And he really want his cake and eat it too. Like,
oh yeah, honey. He don't care about the flour that's on his apron. He said he's gonna make up that cake and put it on the table, and then he's gonna take a big old chunk of it and eat it. Like, I couldn't believe that he had said talk to some older women. What does that mean, sir? What do you mean, talk to some older women? Like, for what? You can go talk to some older women now that you're single. Like, if that's what you want to do.
You know what? I'm trying to think. Did his mama say something crazy?
See, you know what? His mom, I have, I would say, a love-hate relationship with, because I think that she will call him on his stuff, but I think she will protect him too. So she may have said something crazy. I'll just say.
I feel like man, I wish I would have wrote it down, because I feel like she was saying something like, okay, yeah, you cheated. Oh, whoops. Oh, well. Like just brushing it under the rug, like that's not a big deal. And
no, that's a big deal.
It is. That's a deal breaker. I'm sorry.
Right.
Well, I'm not sorry, but
exactly. Well, like you said, he wanted her to accept the cheating, and what did he say? He said, don't mess with women that don't have the older men, because Mel said, you need to go talk to some older gentlemen. And he was like, I did. And she said that he said something along the lines of, don't mess with women that have nothing to lose and make them sign a contract.
Yeah.
The dude I gotta sign a contract for? What is it, the NBA, the NFL? Like, I mean, is he giving me some contract money?
I'm so done with Martell. Like, I can't. I mean, I really see why Mel was just done. And she said it was even before she even found out about this other baby or whatever.
Yeah.
Once she saw that after these are the things that he was saying to her, she was like, no, he is not trying to change after me giving him a chance. He's trying to be deceptive. Better. He's trying to be better at being deceptive. And so I gotta go. And I don't blame her whatsoever. Like, I'm so glad she moved on and she got up out of there, because
exactly. Woo. Well, he said that he's not a cheater and he's not going to cheat on his next woman. That's what he said.
Well, I mean, but okay, he says that, right? But you go back and look at the season, right? He's been trying to get back with Mel. So what does that tell you?
He's in denial. He really thinks this woman is going to, one, fall for his foolery, and two, he thinks he's done nothing wrong.
Yeah. Because
I don't know. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, if he's standing by what he just said about not being a cheater and not cheating on this next woman, which is, I'm assuming he's talking about the mother of his fifth child.
The peasant. Let's call her what he called her. The peasant. I don't think you're a peasant, girl. Okay. I don't even know his words. But that's his words. That's what he called you. Go ahead.
Right. In Vegas, you remember Mel called him out? She was like, "What were you doing in my room at 1 o'clock in the morning?"
Exactly.
What were you doing in my room at 1 o'clock in the morning?
He I don't know. He thinks that this is just, I guess, a phase. I guess he thinks that she's going through a phase and that she'll come back to him. But if I was her, I wouldn't, especially with like the girl that he was cheating with for all that time. When Melody, remember she said that she kept getting the number from the blocked phone call on his phone, and then the girl told her, I wasn't talking to you, put Martell on the damn phone or something to that effect.
Right.
Boo, you know what? I will not only will I put him on the phone, I will pack his bag until he can come lay in your house. And what he's been doing.
Right. You saw it. She said Martell would not answer the phone. He wouldn't come to the phone.
Yeah.
He was scared. That's what he was scared.
Yeah. Crazy.
But what's crazy is he tried to flip this whole thing and try to start off talking about he thought it was inappropriate for Marceau to be asking Mel for drinks when that's not even
all out of context
how it happened. Yeah,
exactly.
Like he really tried it. I'm like, wow, come on, Martell.
Yeah, I could not believe he accused Marcel of cheating or trying to cheat with her because he was trying to defuse the mess that he started. Like, he was trying to have your back as your bro, you know what I'm saying? As your brother, your friend, whatever. He was trying to have your back, and then you go and be like, and then you trying to cheat with my wife by giving her drinks. Really?
But the funny part to me was Tisha was like, they had drinks. He called Mel for drinks. Like that's all she heard. She was not listening to nothing else. She's like, all I heard was you said Marceau called Mel for drinks. When did this happen?
Exactly. You know what? I didn't think of it in that way. I took it as she was trying to dispel what Martell was saying, like, but he called her specifically for drinks, or basically, or why did he call her? Because like he didn't just call her out of the blue, there was a reason. So that's the way I interpreted it. But yeah.
Shoot, I was like, girl, Tisha, your insecurities are showing right now. You need to calm down. Just open your ears up, put your listening ears on.
Exactly. Look, boo, honey, chill out. I thought that was nice of Marceau trying to kind of diffuse the situation in that moment or whatever, because he said he tried to call Martell, but Martell wouldn't answer, and then she called. You can only imagine like what her emotions were in that moment.
Right. He did it in the right order.
Yeah. He did. Yeah, he did it right or whatever, but I couldn't believe that he tried to flip it. I was like, bruh, this always about somebody else with you, ain't it?
He always tries to get the heat off of him, get the attention off of him. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what he was doing.
And no, because he didn't stop there. Because then he tried to that's when he came up with the male cheated on him again mess.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He said that she had performed fellatio on another man. And she said, no, I had it done to me. I didn't do it to somebody else.
I was like, okay, you know what? She's like, I'm gonna be real specific.
Yeah.
It was performed on me.
Exactly.
Like,
okay. Look, she said she is here for a good time for herself. Now, what did you think of that conversation? Because I do believe that she was being very frank and kind of shared more than she has ever shared on the show. But do you think, just in general, like take them out of the equation, do you think that a couple that is separated from each other should still act as if they're married, or do you think that it's okay for them, if they're separated, to act as if this is not going to be mended and move on their ways? Well, like, what's your personal thought on that?
It's funny you ask, because we paused. My husband and I watched the show together, and we paused right here, and we discussed this exactly. And he was saying, if you, because he is very cut and dry, like black and white. We either together or we're not. We're not doing this whole we're separated, but we trying it. So he was saying, because Mel did say that she had no intentions of going back to Martell and making it work. She said that. So if those are your intentions, follow through with it. What's the holdup? Like, why are y'all just separated? File for divorce, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the part she was wrong or whatever. Like, she should have filed for divorce.
Yeah.
But if that is your intention. So if that is your intention, I get that divorces don't happen overnight. I understand that part. Me personally, if it's an understanding between both parties that we are completely done, we are just waiting for this divorce to be final, move on with your life. If both parties understand that, then I'm okay with it. And that's nobody else's business.
Yeah.
So at this point, it doesn't matter. Well, you were separated and we weren't, it wasn't over, like the whole Kaiwa and Maurice thing. Like, no, like, if we both
he said, with Kaiwa and Maurice, he said, no, I was done. I had filed for divorce. I had packed my stuff and was out. Like, we were done.
Different state. Exactly.
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
No. So in that case, in that instance, then I would not have an issue with what Mel was doing.
Yeah.
But if that's not a clear, like, black and white thing that this is an understanding between both parties, then no, because it's still gray area and it look like one's trying and one's not. It's confusing for somebody. So
yeah, I agree. I think that they were in a gray area, and I think it had partly to do with the fact that I think this was probably around the time that she was pregnant. I'm not sure, maybe not. I thought that was kind of the gray area, but I'm kind of like your husband. It's either black or white. We either together or not. Like one or two. Need to know. And if we just needed a breather from each other, we agreed that it was just a breather, then you can't go have somebody performing oral sex on you. I'm sorry, it doesn't work.
Now, if you mutually agree to that, that's y'all business. Yeah. But me personally, we're not doing that.
We're not doing that.
No.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely 100% agree. But it's funny to me that he always brings up that she is with somebody else. Whenever like the heat gets hot on him, then it's, oh, she cheated. She cheated. Like it's
Yeah.
always that. And I don't understand why he feels like that is like, I don't know, it's deflection at best. I mean, sir, just
It's tit for tat. Like, yes, he's very, he doesn't like being judged, right? And
mm-hmm.
because everybody's like, oh, well, you're a cheater, Marcel. You cheated. He's like, well, why are y'all only attacking me? She did too.
Exactly.
He's always the one to like try to point fingers at the other person because he's guilty. He just doesn't
Yeah.
want to go down by himself.
Exactly. So, well, and then I thought it was interesting because he was like, well, I'm not a sex addict, because somebody said something about him being a sex addict. He was like, I'm a sex addict. And I just had the one other person. Like I wasn't out here like cheating on with one person, another person, or whatever. So that's why I'm not a cheater.
That makes it worse though, because at that point, as I speaking from Mel's perspective, well, that means you love this other woman. It's not just sex. You love, there's some kind of connection between you and this other woman that you keep going back to her, right? Exactly. And that has to be heartbreaking, devastating to even know that, like to hear that. And that's what the host was asking Martell. He was like, well, for you to keep going back to her, it had to be deeper. It couldn't have just been sex. He's like, she the whole restaurant, the dessert, the entree, the everything. And you know, when he was saying that, I was like, I was hurting for Mel. Because even though you were moved on, that was her situation. Like, you're reopening those wounds. And for you to say that and like say that out loud, it just makes it really real. And I'm like, oh, I'm hurting for Mel right now. Like, looking at Mel's face. Oh, I couldn't. I
mean, just imagine, like, I'm with you. I'm almost, if I'm gonna be cheated on, go out there and just be having sex. Be like a Tristan to Khloe Kardashian and just be out hopping from woman to woman, because that just show you got impulse control.
But right, no standards, you just doing it.
You just doing it. Like you looking for a hole just so you can, your thing or whatever. But I mean, this man went back to the same year after year, time after time, like that. Could you imagine what type of connection they were making? Like, they were having sex, but they weren't just having sex.
They had a whole baby.
They had a whole baby. I would be, and hold on, wait, and they had a whole baby not too far after him and Mel had a whole baby.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Absolutely. I feel for her. I am glad though that she was like, oh, you gonna make a fool of me? Oh, you think you're gonna make a fool of me on TV? I got you one. I'm gonna take the business, I'm gonna take the fame, I'm gonna take this opportunity and use it for everything I got to make myself. And I mean, she out here doing her
thing. That.
Yeah, she did and doing, like she did that or whatever. All right, what's your final thoughts on this episode or reunion part 1 for Love and Marriage?
Well, before we get to that, one last thing.
Go ahead.
The host asked Martell, would he have been with that other woman had he never met Mel?
That was my little my last little thought, because let me tell you something. When he asked that question, honey, you could have heard a hair out my head drop on the floor.
I know
it was quiet.
I mean, Kimmy had to say it under her breath. She said, the silence is deafening.
Oh my God. And I'm hoping that it's editing and that he actually did not take that long to respond.
I don't know. It was second to me.
I don't know either. That was so interesting. Did you see Mel's face in that one? Because I didn't even get a chance because I was just in my face. Or did they even go over to her?
I saw her face, because that's that whole conversation of what he just got done talking about with the whole connection thing. And I think Mel was probably just drowning on the inside. She had to be. Because it's taking her back to that space, right?
Yeah.
And the look on her face, I mean, Erica, I felt so bad for her. I mean, in the previews, they show, it may be editing, but like in the previews, they show when they're backstage or whatever. It was parts where she was crying, talking about how she hates Huntsville or whatever.
And I did see that part.
Yeah, I just, that there's nothing. I don't care if you've moved on. There's nothing happy about that situation that you would ever want to keep rehashing and talking about. So my heart goes out. Yeah.
I am waiting to see what this answer is. And they better not do no foolery and nonsense where they drag that all the way out to the end of the next episode.
I know they're not. They better not.
They better not. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. Could only to have been the person on the stage sitting to the left or right to actually have to wait for the answer for that.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And then for him to think, for Martell to think that he has any kind of chance with Mel, he's crazy. He's a lunatic.
Delusional. But that is the behavior of a narcissist. And I believe that he has some characteristics that would put him in that category. Really believes that, I'll say it again, he really believes that he did nothing wrong. Which is crazy.
And I feel for him because Mel really did try to give him a second chance. Because remember the last reunion, they were like on the same page. They were united front. She was like, nope, they're going to try to attack us, but nope, we're going to be a united front because they're not going to come for the Holtz. And I'm like, there you go. Like, she really was on Team Martell, like all the way. And he messed up again.
He kept on going out there acting like a fool. So, I mean, I don't know what else. Like, he definitely has to see that he put his foot all the way in that mess. And if he doesn't, then he is a fool. But yeah, I mean, that was like kind of my like last shocking piece of the episode. I tried to look at the previews, but they're kind of all over the place themselves. What did you take away from any of the previews that they had for the next episode?
So I saw that they had brought out Destiny and Tiffany and Lewis. I'm glad that the host is asking all the right questions. So she's going to elaborate on what transpired with her and her divorce because they didn't really get into her,
Yeah, they didn't add that in her storyline at all, which I thought was interesting. I don't know if she maybe was still, no, they had been divorced. I was going to say maybe they were still trying to battle out some things, or that was a part of the divorce agreement that she couldn't. I don't know. We'll see though.
Yeah. And so I remember him asking her that. And also Lewis and Marceau kind of getting into it, going back and forth about, I don't know, I forget. Oh, who's I guess him being like Lewis being an expert on marriage. He's like, nah, you an expert on divorce. And I was like, oh, shots fired.
Yeah. Tiffany and Lewis to me are interesting because they are definitely a united front.
They are.
They
and
are.
Remember, as we said early on, in the earlier episodes, we were saying how they try to be that example couple or that power couple that they feel is the example for the other couples to be like. And I'm like, what makes y'all experts though? So
look, I guess they said, hold on, wait, Martell and Melody, they were the power couple and they're not here. And I mean, Maurice and Kimmy, they're Maurice and Kimmy, and then Tisha and Marceau. I don't know that I would call them like the couple of the show or whatever. I guess they trying to step into Martell and Melody's shoes. I don't know. They always got something to say though.
I think Marceau and Tisha could be a power couple. They could, and I say that because in a business sense, they seem to work well together. But in their marriage,
the communication has definitely got to grow.
It's terrible.
Marceau
need to get out of 1950, and Tisha need to learn how to speak up for herself.
She
a little
does.
bit more. I mean, she's gotten better, but she needs to keep doing it.
She still got some work to do. She in the agency of this.
And Maurice and Kimmy, it's Maurice. Kimmy's there.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Maurice to he just seems so clueless sometimes. I don't know what's wrong with him.
He's interesting. Did you see them when they appear on another podcast that does reviews for shows?
I did not.
Oh, okay. You're gonna have to see the episode.
Okay.
Let me see if I can find it. I'll send it to you. So they were on another show.
Okay.
To watch. And so yeah, they were talking, and they were them true selves. But yeah, he's definitely that piece in the relationship to be like, what's going on? Like, he's all over the place or whatever.
He seems like a great guy. Great intention.
Yeah. I think they're level-headed. Yeah, I think they're level-headed, and he did make some strides towards that this season. Because you remember he went to the counseling with the Huntsville counselor, because that man counsel everybody in Huntsville.
He has the tea. He could have been the host. He could have been the host.
If it weren't for that little stinking hipper. He's kind of like that. I don't know if you watched Breast Values, the lady who did all of the counseling for them, and she's kind of like the Atlanta counselor, because she did it for the Braxtons, and then she was on Real Housewives, so she's like the Atlanta counselor in that same sense.
Yeah.
That's off topic or whatever. But he's making strides. I say all that to say that he's making strides at getting better, but he still has work to do. Like, he still needs to realize when he needs to take up for his wife. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, it's like, what I don't understand about Maurice is that Kimmy tells him everything she needs him to do. He doesn't hear her. It's like they're speaking two different languages, but when he hears it from a third party, he all of a sudden understands. Yeah. And that's what I got out the whole counseling thing. I'm like, but Kimmy said that to you. Like, she told you.
You know what? I said that he doesn't understand. He doesn't understand women. He only understands man. Like, when other men say stuff, then he'd be like, oh, yeah. But when his wife is saying it, it's like, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Someone has to mansplain it to him. That's what it is.
That's what it is. I think that the rest of the reunion will be juicy. But all I had down was the same things you've hit. Destiny not sharing her divorce information, and Tiffany and Lewis being the experts of marriage. Those are the things that kind of stood out to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap this part 1 episode review. We are going to be watching this week, and we'll be reviewing with you guys Love and Marriage, Huntsville. This is the reunion for season 3, and we're on part 1, and we'll be watching part 2 and 3. Make sure you guys are here. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, so when we post that, you'll get it right when it comes up. Make sure that you share this with other people, and make sure you like this episode, because I know you was thinking the same thing as us, and probably yelling at the computer like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about, because that's what I watch other podcasts. I'm like, yo, I said that anyway. Nonetheless, until next time, we'll see you guys, and we'll be talking about Love and Marriage Huntsville again. Bye.